I think that having that sense of identity, even if it's just wearing your hair long, is very important. My name is Keenan Barlow. I'm Oglala Lakota and Navajo. I'm from a small community located just west of Tuba City, Arizona. I spend a lot of my time practicing cultural arts, so that includes like beading, weaving, and things like that. I identify as a Native American person. You know, I'm Keenan Barlow, and that's just who I am. I was raised in the suburbs of Utah until I was about 12. And during that time, I was attending a school where they had a dress code, and I wasn't really allowed to wear my hair long. I personally wanted it long because I would go to powwows and I would see like these guys with long hair in their dance outfits, and I wanted to be that. So when I turned 18, I moved away from home and I just started growing it out. I wear my hair long because it gives me that sense of belonging. It gives me that sense of identity, and you know, it's just something that I've always wanted for myself. It's the way I believe and the way I see my ties to the culture, not only in a personal aspect, but in a ceremonial aspect as well. Native men wearing their hair long in today's society is reclaiming their sense of identity, whether they're not close to the culture, you know, because of historical trauma and things like that. Some people aren't fortunate enough to be raised around the culture. And so I think whether you know your culture or not, wearing your hair long kind of gives you that sense of identity and belonging. So the history of when Native men and boys were forced to cut their hair stems back to boarding schools and the sense of colonization. Because we as Indigenous people held ourselves differently, we had an entirely different culture. And then another culture was brought in and they had different beliefs and they had different methods of fixing their hair or keeping their hair. There's this famous term that's used, kill the Indian, save the man. They knew that hair was an important aspect of our culture, so they did whatever they could to, you know, break our spirits in cutting our hair. Especially as men, I guess that was a method of breaking the spirit, you know, kind of like removing all ties as much as they could in order to be able to take over. By reclaiming that and wearing your hair long, especially like in a Western society where men are typically viewed or seen with having short hair or shaved hair, I think reclaiming that is the sense of, you know, gaining that power back and reclaiming their identity as an Indigenous person and as a Diné person. So culturally, the Navajo hair tie is called a tsik oath, and it represents beams of light. Our hair, it represents the rain, so when it's down, that's a representation of the rain, and then this is a representation of the sunbeams. So when it comes to tying the hair, it kind of folds like this. You fold it up and then you hold it together. And then as you're tying it, you're wrapping the hair tie around your hair. Once you get to the top, that's when it's tied off. I feel like people, especially younger people, are scared to ask the older generations, like, how do you tie a Navajo bun, a tiyeth? By having somebody that's, you know, closer in age that comes along and says, this is how you do it, this is the way it's done, and these are the teachings behind it. It's empowering almost, like if I can do it, you can do it. But then also that sense of identity, because it's cool, like it's cool having long hair, it's cool having a Navajo bun. So I hope that, you know, carrying myself in that manner and fixing my hair in that way, the younger generations are watching me and thinking like, wow, I want to have long hair someday.